Baruch here with genConnect.com, and I'm joined today by Sarah Heyward, a writer on the incredible hit Girls. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, it's nice to see you after
too.
all these years. So you started out as an assistant at Girls, and you very quickly catapulted to become a writer.
Yeah.
How does that happen so quickly?
Well, before Girls, I worked as an assistant for a year for someone else. So it wasn't totally rapid, but it was very quick.
Oh yeah, a year, and now you're a writer on Girls? I'm sorry, that's rapid.
I was an assistant when they filmed the pilot, and this amazingly lucky thing happened where one of the producers knew I was a fiction writer, which is what I went to graduate school for. So she asked me to just print out one of my short stories, and she was reading it on set. Lena literally picked it up off a chair, and the producer, who's, so supportive, was like, Sarah wrote that, she's a good writer, read it, and Lena hired me 3 weeks later. So it was amazing.
She just got it. She understood
Yeah, it was a story about sex, so that probably had something to do with it. But it was an amazingly lucky thing that happened.
Do you think that you being of the generation that you're writing about helps?
Definitely. There's a lot of writers on the show who are in their late 30s and 40s. So Lena and I are often looked to as the 20-somethings in the room to kind of be like, this would happen, this wouldn't happen, The
reliable sources.
Definitely.
What, though, do you think is most reliable? I mean, people have been talking a lot about Girls and, really to what extent it actually does represent our generation. How accurate is it?
I think it's really accurate for some people. I think that the people who come up to us the most and relate to it the most are young girls living in Brooklyn.
Right.
And I don't even relate to it the way they do. But I think that just the fact that it's one of the first shows that's putting, realistic images of sex, what sex is like in your 20s, what bodies are like in your 20s, what, changing careers, changing apartments, changing friendships, a lot of that just hasn't really been addressed in this much detail before. So I think that's what does it.
How do you think it relates back to Sex and the City and sort of the paradigm that created?
Girls could not exist without Sex and the City. We are all huge Sex and the City fans. We see Sex and the City as an aspirational show that paved the way for Girls to be the more realistic version. So, while we're not trying to be Sex and the City, there's a lot of overlap, and Sex and the City was groundbreaking. People weren't hearing women talk about these things honestly and openly on television until that show.
Well, Sarah, you we talked about your very rapid career growth, and I'm sure you've gotten a lot of advice along the way. What's been the number one piece of advice that a mentor of yours has given you so far?
I think just to support other writers around you as well as yourself, to form a community of writers where there's people who can read your work, you're reading their work. You never know, especially in Hollywood, positions change all the time. You could be doing great one day, terribly another, and it's good to just keep those people around who, can be honest with you and who you feel supported by and who you support.
Your entourage.
Exactly, but your entourage of fun, friendly peers, not douchebags from the show Entourage.
Good advice. Sarah Heyward, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And for more with Sarah and Girls, be sure to check out genConnect.com.